My beloved child, stop right here. Do not scroll past this moment. I am stepping into your atmosphere right now because your soul is quietly breaking under a weight you were never meant to carry alone. You think you arrived at this video by pure accident, but heaven aligned time itself to bring your eyes to these words. Give me just a few minutes of your time, and I promise your heart will not regret staying. I know how exhausted you are. I see the tiredness that has gone far deeper than sleep. It sits in your bones. It sits behind your eyes when you try to smile for everyone else. You have been playing the role of the strong one for so long that people forget you have tears too. You hold everything together for those around you, while quietly falling apart in the dark. Look at me in the deepest place of your heart. I am speaking directly to you today because you are holding on to something that is actively hurting you. You are clutching the broken pieces of what was lost. You hold on to old memories, old promises, and doors that I explicitly closed for your protection. You cling to them because you are terrified of the empty space left behind. You tell yourself that if you just hold on a little longer, maybe the pain will make sense. Maybe the person who left will return. Maybe the opportunity that collapsed will somehow come back to life. But hear me with absolute clarity today. I am not asking you to let go so you can be left empty. I am asking you to let go because I am making space for something far greater. Do you feel that sudden stirring in your chest right now? That mix of relief and fear as these words land in your spirit? That is not confusion, my beloved. That is your soul recognizing my voice. Comment Amen if you feel me speaking to your weary heart right now. Let this be your first step of agreement with the healing I am bringing into your life today. I saw you in those private moments when no one else was looking. I saw when you sat on the edge of your bed and squeezed your eyes shut, trying to stop the tears before anyone heard you. I saw when you went into the bathroom and turned on the water so the sound would drown out your weeping. Not a single drop fell without me. Counting it. You have carried the title of the silent survivor for far too long. You wear your scars like invisible armor, pretending the betrayal did not cut you as deep as it did. You convince yourself that you are fine, while your chest feels tight every single morning when you wake up. But I did not create you merely to survive the damage of your past. I created you to thrive in my promises. Let me tell you why you have been holding on so fiercely to what hurts you. It is because you have mistakenly believed that loss was a sign of my anger. You looked at the door that slammed shut, and you wondered what you did wrong. You looked at the relationship that shattered, and you asked yourself why your faithful love was met with such painful disappointment. You replayed every conversation in your head 1,000 times. You searched for the exact moment where things went wrong, blaming your own worthiness for the ending you never wanted. But I am stepping in today to break that lie off your mind. You did not fail. You were not forgotten. What you called a tragic loss was actually my hands stepping in to rescue your future. I watched you pour your pure heart into hands that did not know how to hold it. I watched you give your sincerity, your loyalty, and your precious energy to people who only knew how to take. You were acting as a pure-hearted giver, opening your life completely. But they treated your sacred love like something ordinary, and when they walked away, they left you holding empty ashes. And so you stayed there in the ashes. You sat in the dust of what used to be, wondering if your best days were now behind you. You began to believe that love, success, and true peace were gifts meant for other people but not for you. My child, that thought is a trap planted by the enemy to keep you sitting in the graveyard of your past while your resurrection is waiting outside. Listen to my voice right now. I am asking you a simple question today. How much longer will you bleed over things that were never meant to stay? How much longer will you sacrifice your present peace for memories that only bring you sorrow? You are exhausting your spirit by fighting to keep open doors that I locked with my own authority to save your soul. When I remove something from your life, it is never because I am trying to diminish you. I do not take away blessings to leave you in poverty or grief. Every time I allow an ending, it is because the vessel of your life has grown too small for where I am taking you. I must clear away what is old, broken, and decaying so that your hands are empty enough to receive what is new. Imagine holding on to sharp fragments of broken glass with all your strength. Your hands are bleeding, your muscles are aching, and you are crying out to me in agony. I stand before you with open arms, holding a gift of pure gold and restoration. But when I reach out to hand it to you, you cannot receive it because your hands are completely full of the very glass that is cutting you. That is exactly what you are doing when you refuse to let go of your past wounds. You are clutching the very glass that bleeds your soul, while refusing the divine restoration I stand ready to place in your hands. Open your fingers, my child. Drop the sharp pieces. Let them fall to the ground. I promise you that the blood you shed over what was lost will be washed away in my peace. I know what your fearful mind is whispering to you right now. You are thinking that if you drop the glass, you will be left with nothing. You fear that the silence, following the loss, will swallow you whole. But I am declaring over you today that the silence you fear is not emptiness. It is a holy space. It is the quiet sanctuary where I am building your greatest breakthrough. You have lived under the illusion that you must control every outcome to be safe. You plan, you worry, and you replay scenarios in your mind until your head aches. You carry the entire world on your shoulders, as if I asked you to be the ruler of your own destiny. But you were never designed to bear the weight of the universe. You were designed to rest in my sovereign hands. I saw when you tried to fix things in your own human strength. I saw how you begged for crumbs of affection from people who treated you like an option. I saw how you worked yourself to complete exhaustion, trying to prove your worth to a world that never truly saw you. You tried so hard to build a life on an unstable foundation, and when it crumbled, you felt completely destroyed. But let me tell you the hidden truth behind that collapse. I allowed that foundation to shake so you would stop building your happiness on things that could be taken away. I permitted the collapse so you would finally look up and see that I am your true refuge. You are a carefully formed masterpiece, and I refuse to let you settle for a life that shrinks your spirit. You are not a random fragment floating through a chaotic world. I knew your name before the stars were placed in the sky. I numbered every hair on your head, and I recorded every prayer you ever whispered in the dark. Your worth was established by my word before you ever accomplished a single thing on this earth. You do not have to earn the right to be loved and protected by me. Breathe deeply, right now. Let your tight shoulders drop. Let the tension in your jaw soften. You do not have to fight this battle alone anymore. I am stepping between you and the pain of your past. I am stepping between you and the enemy who lied to you, telling you that your story was over. Your story is not over. You are simply standing at the beginning of a brand new chapter. Do not turn away from this message now, my beloved. Stay right here with me for the next few minutes. What I am about to reveal in the next part of this message will uncover the exact mechanism the enemy used to blind your eyes to the provision I prepared for you. Stay close, because your complete release from this cycle begins right here. Let us step deeper into the quiet sanctuary of your heart, my child. I know there are places inside your soul that you have hidden from every human eye. You have walked through crowds of people and felt entirely invisible. You have laughed at jokes, shared meals with friends, and joined in conversations, while feeling as though you were standing 1,000 miles away. I saw you in those heavy moments when the room cleared out. I saw when you closed the front door and leaned your back against the wood, letting out a long sigh you had been holding all day. The smile vanished from your face instantly. The energy drained completely from your body. You felt the familiar emptiness return like a dark tide, washing over your tired mind. I saw you when you sat in the darkness of your bedroom. I saw you when you pulled your knees up to your chest and stared at the wall without moving. You wondered how a life that started with so much promise could feel so quiet and heavy. You wondered if anyone on this earth truly knew the real you, or if they only loved the strong version you performed for them. Hear me in this tender moment. I saw every tear. Not one was wasted. You thought you were alone in those midnight hours, but I was sitting right beside you in the dark. I was closer than the air filling your lungs. When your heart broke in silence, my heart broke with yours. I held your fragile spirit when you felt too weak to pray a single coherent word. You have felt abandoned by people you gave your whole life to support. You poured your time, your finances, and your deepest devotion into hands that simply closed up and walked away. They took your sweetness and left you with bitterness. They took your light and left you sitting in the shadows. You sat there asking why your kindness was met with such cruel rejection. You were acting as a pure-hearted giver, holding nothing back. You sacrificed your own comfort so that others could feel safe and loved. But when you needed that same tenderness returned to you, the hands you filled were suddenly empty. You felt embarrassed for loving so deeply. You promised yourself that you would build a wall around your heart and never trust anyone ever again. You began to wonder if something was fundamentally broken inside of you. You asked yourself why others seemed to find love, stability, and peace so effortlessly, while every step you take feels like climbing a steep mountain in the dark. You assumed that my silence meant I had turned my face away from your suffering. But my child, my silence was never my absence. Pause right here with me. Take a deep breath and let this truth settle into your soul. You are not invisible to me. I see every secret tear you have ever wiped away in the dark. Comment you see my tears if you accept that you are no longer alone in this valley. Let those words be a seal over your heart, that the era of fighting by yourself is over today. I need to show you what was actually happening during those seasons when you felt completely isolated. You thought you were being buried in the dirt. You thought the darkness surrounding you was a grave where your dreams went to die. But I want to reframe your perspective right now. You were not being buried, my beloved child. You were being planted. A seed must sit in the dark soil before it can ever break through into the sunlight. It must lose its old outer shell so that the massive life hidden inside can begin to expand. The isolation you hated so much was actually my holy protection. I pulled you away from the noise of the world so I could speak softly to the deepest places of your wounded identity. I was shielding you from rooms you were not ready to enter. I was removing people who were not equipped to carry the weight of the destiny I am preparing for you. If I had let them stay, they would have stolen the very blessing meant for your future. Their departure was painful, but it was the only way I could safeguard the sacred garden inside your soul. You are a vessel being expanded through this process. When a vessel is created to hold pure wine, it must go through intense heat and pressure to be shaped correctly. The pain you felt was not destruction. It was the stretching of your capacity so that you can hold a greater measure of peace, authority, and abundance than you have ever known before. Because I see your weariness, I have aligned something specific for you in this very season. To help you receive what I have already prepared, I need you to hear this truth. The silence you have experienced is not my absence. The enemy has been filling the space between us with noise, a static so constant that my voice, my provision, and my arrangements have been invisible to you. They were right there on your path all along. I have not abandoned you, my child. I have been preparing, and I have guided someone to bring you an instrument of restoration. I will show you exactly what it is before this message ends. But first, you need to understand what was done to block it, and why it can be undone right now. The enemy wants you to focus exclusively on the pain of what was taken. He whispers that you have lost too much, that time is running out, and that you will never recover from the damage. He uses the static of worry to keep your mind racing through the middle of the night. He wants your energy completely drained, so you remain too tired to notice the open door beside you. When your mind is constantly spinning with fear, you cannot hear the quiet whisper of my guidance. You cannot sense the divine nudges I send to direct your steps toward provision. You make decisions out of panic instead of peace, grabbing onto broken pieces of the past just to feel secure. But I am breaking that cycle of mental exhaustion over your life today. I saw you when you tried to pray through the mental fog. I saw you sitting with your heart heavy, unable to focus, because your thoughts were screaming so loudly. You blamed yourself for lacking faith. But I saw the deep exhaustion of your spirit. You do not need to perform for me. You only need to sit quietly in my presence and let me restore you. I am stripping away the authority of every lie that told you that your best days were behind you. The enemy targeted you with so much exhaustion because he saw the immense light rising within your soul. He saw that you are a cycle breaker, appointed to break generational patterns of grief and lack. He tried to crush you before you could step into your calling. Look at how strong you have been despite the relentless attacks. You are still standing today. Your heart is still gentle despite all the cruelty you witnessed. Your faith is still alive, even if it feels as small as a mustard seed right now. That seed is all I need to perform a miracle in your life. I am taking the shattered fragments of your past and making them whole. You do not have to carry the heavy weight of tomorrow. I will guide you one single step at a time, and I will not confuse you. My voice brings clarity, and my presence brings calm. Breathe deeply, my child. Let your tight shoulders relax. Let your racing mind come to a complete stillness. I am already working ahead of you in the unseen realm. Do not turn away from this moment now, my beloved. We are approaching the threshold where the truth behind your story will be fully unlocked. Stay with me as we step into the next part of this message, because I am about to show you how every loss you suffered was a divine setup for a breakthrough that will leave you in absolute wonder. There was a young man I placed a great dream inside long ago. He was faithful and pure in his heart, yet I allowed him to be thrown into a dark pit by the hands of his own family. He cried out in the silence of that cistern. He wondered why I permitted such betrayal to touch his life. But I was not absent from his suffering. I was building beneath the surface what no earthly throne could ever prepare him for. My child, the pit you are sitting in right now is not your grave. It is your preparation room. Joseph sat in a dark prison cell for years, forgotten by those he helped along the way. He wondered if the promise I gave him had expired in the shadows of that cell. But every locked door and every painful year was aligning the exact moment he would walk into his destiny. What his enemies intended for evil, I turned into his complete deliverance. The people who pushed you into the pit were unknowingly pushing you toward your purpose. They thought they were destroying your future when they rejected you. They thought they were ending your story when they walked away. But I used their cruelty as my transportation. I used their departure to clear the path for where you are going next. You do not need to seek revenge on those who hurt you. I am your vindicator. Look at how I transformed Job after he lost everything he held dear. He lost his wealth, his health, and his beloved children in a matter of days. His friends sat beside him and told him that his suffering was his own fault. They told him he must have sinned in secret to deserve such tragedy. But I stood beside him through every single test, and when the season of trial ended, I restored to him double what was taken away. You are standing in that exact same threshold today, my child. I have seen the way you replay your losses at night, searching for the one thing you did wrong. You have spent hours staring at the ceiling, wondering why your sincere efforts were met with such painful collapse. You have called this a personal failure. You have told yourself that you were simply not good enough to keep what you loved. You convinced yourself that your worth was the problem. But I am stepping in right now to break that lie off your mind forever. Here is the truth behind what happened to you. What you called a devastating loss was actually a holy pruning. I call this concept the holy pruning. A gardener does not cut a vine because he hates it. He cuts the vine because he loves the fruit it can produce. A vine cannot bear sweeter fruit until the dead branches are cut away. If the gardener leaves the decaying branches attached, the rot will spread to the healthy parts of the plant. So those endings you mourned so deeply were not punishments from heaven. They were my loving hands cutting away what was silently rotting your future. I removed what was decaying so your soul could thrive again. So today, stop bleeding over the branches I cut away from your life. Stop trying to reattach dead wood to a living tree. Look up from the dirt and see the fresh growth that is already beginning to emerge from your spirit. You are not broken beyond repair. You are simply being pruned for a harvest that will astonish everyone who watched you suffer. Write "I trust your timing" in the comments right now as an act of letting go of what hurt you. Let those words be a sacred declaration that you surrender your timeline to mine. When you type those words, you are telling the enemy that his power over your past is officially broken. You are choosing trust over fear and peace over anxiety. I have heard the desperate prayer you stopped praying out loud because you were tired of waiting. You prayed for healing, you prayed for restoration, and you prayed for a way out of the storm. But as the months turned into years, the silence from heaven felt heavier than the trial itself. You started to believe that my silence meant rejection. You wondered if you lacked the faith required to move my heart. Hear me clearly with the deepest part of your spirit today. The enemy whispered a false meaning into my silence. I call this mechanism the stolen meaning. The adversary took my quiet preparation and convinced you it was abandonment. He wanted you to believe that because the answer was delayed, my love for you had expired. But that was a lie manufactured to steal your hope. The silence was never my absence. I was working in rooms you could not see, on a timeline you could not measure. There were answers I withheld, because a yes in that season would have cost you your future. I was not ignoring your cries. I was protecting you from a door that looked beautiful on the outside, but carried hidden danger on the inside. I was saving you from yourself. So when the waiting feels unbearable, do not ask why I am silent. Start asking what I am protecting. Shift your perspective from panic to trust. Remember that a delay from my hands is always a shield, never a sentence. I am the God who sees the end from the beginning, and I will never allow you to walk into a room that was built to destroy your soul. And now, my child, I need you to sit up and hear what I am about to declare over your life. You have heard me whisper peace over your deepest pain. Now hear me declare your freedom with absolute authority. The tears I witnessed in secret are becoming the seeds of a massive harvest. I am moving you from the valley of weeping into the mountain of divine purpose. You are no longer the victim of what happened to you. You are stepping out of the role of the survivor and into the place of the overcomer. The enemy thought he had ended your destiny when he brought that storm into your life, but he did not realize that I was using the storm to clear away everything that was holding you back. He thought he was burying you, but he was actually planting a champion. I am making space for something far greater than what you lost. I am clearing the clutter of toxic relationships, failed plans, and broken dreams. I am widening your heart so it can contain a measure of joy that will make your past pain look like a fading shadow. I am preparing a table for you in the presence of the very things that tried to destroy you. Think about a room that is packed completely full of old broken furniture. If you want to bring in glorious new treasures, you must first carry out the useless debris. That is what this season of loss was all about. It was the clearing out of the old clutter so that my glory could fill every single corner of your home. You cannot receive my new gifts while clutching your old grief. I know you felt terrified when the room became empty. You looked at the bare walls and felt a cold wind of loneliness blow through your life. But that emptiness was not a desert. It was a holy altar. It was the space where I set you apart so I could breathe new life into your weary spirit. The space is now prepared, and the foundation is finally solid. Do you feel that shift happening in your spirit right now? That quiet confidence beginning to rise in your chest is my power returning to your soul. The fog of doubt is lifting, and the clarity of my voice is taking its place. You are no longer bound by the memory of what hurt you. You are being drawn forward by the promise of what is coming next. Hold your breath, my child. What I am declaring over your life in this next moment will break the chains of years in a single second. Stay close to me right now. We are crossing the threshold into the most powerful revelation of your life, where every locked door will tremble at my command, and your true restoration will begin. Hear my declaration over your life right now. The season that has exhausted your spirit is closing today. I am stepping into your reality with absolute authority, and I am stripping away the power of every nightmare that kept you awake at night. The heavy chains of generational grief that bound those who came before you are snapping into pieces in this exact moment. You have lived under a cloud of uncertainty for far too long. You thought your pain was a permanent condition, but I am declaring over you that what you experienced was only a temporary interference. The enemy tried to drown out my signal in your mind with a constant storm of anxiety and doubt. He wanted you so distracted by what you lost that you could not see the breakthrough standing right before you. When I designed the human mind at the beginning of creation, I placed a sacred frequency at its very core. Wise researchers who have spent decades studying the brain have confirmed this signal, and they call it the gamma wave. It ran freely within your mind when you were a child. It is why children trust so purely. It is why they live with unshakable joy without carrying the heavy burdens of tomorrow. I designed your mind to hum at that exact frequency of divine receptivity. When I told my followers that they must become like little children to enter my kingdom, I was not speaking only of spiritual innocence. I was speaking of the very signal I placed within your physical brain. The noise of the world and the pressure of survival suppressed that sacred frequency, leaving your mind filled with endless static. Because I see your deep weariness, I guided wise minds to work with sound the way I designed it. They built a frequency instrument that clears the static and restores the signal I placed in you from the beginning. You do not have to work for it. You do not have to earn it through grueling effort. You simply surrender for 7 minutes and allow my design to restore what was stolen. I am going to show you exactly where to find what they built before this message comes to a close. But first, I need you to feel the magnitude of what is shifting in your atmosphere right now. The doors that slammed shut in your past were not rejections. They were my sovereign protection. I locked those doors because what was behind them would have destroyed the very purpose I placed inside your soul. You cried over what left your life, not knowing that I was clearing the ground for an eternal upgrade. You bled over broken glass, while I was preparing a room filled with pure gold. Look at your hands right now. Open your fingers and let the last remaining pieces of your past fall away. You cannot step through a brand new door while holding onto the baggage of an old room. I know what you are thinking right now in the quiet corner of your heart. You are thinking that you have prayed before and nothing changed. You are wondering why this time would be any different. My child, my silence in those years was never my absence. I was rearranging circumstances you could not see. The waiting season was your preparation, and that preparation is now complete. I am breaking the authority of the spirit of lack over your family today. What followed your parents and your grandparents will not follow you into this new season. You are the cycle breaker appointed for this exact generation. You are the one through whom my abundance will flow, blessing your children and everyone around you. The era of barely surviving on crumbs is officially over. Comment the phrase, "The door is open," if you receive the greater blessing I am releasing over your life today. Let those words echo through the unseen realm as a powerful decree of your faith. When you write those words, you are aligning your spirit with the threshold of your breakthrough. You are declaring to the enemy that his hold over your destiny has been completely shattered. Look at the horizon of your future with eyes of expectation. I am making space for something infinitely greater than what was taken from you. Where there was heartbreak, I am pouring an unshakable peace. Where there was financial lack, I am opening the windows of heaven to release provision. Where there was lonely isolation, I am bringing divine relationships that will honor your pure heart. You thought your story was reaching a tragic end when you lost what you loved. But I declare to you today that it was only the end of a single chapter. The author of your faith is turning the page right now. What I am writing in your future will make your past pain look like a brief shadow in the midday sun. You will look back at this valley and wonder why you ever doubted my goodness. Picture an evening just 6 months from today. You sit in your home in quiet peace, not because you are lonely, but because you finally enjoy the presence of my spirit within you. You look back on this day and smile, realizing that the heaviness that sat on your chest for years is simply gone. You rested without guilt. You stepped into your calling without fear. You are finally at home in your soul. That version of you is not a distant fantasy, my child. That version of you already exists in my plan, and she is waiting for you to step across this threshold. The distance between you and that reality is not years of struggle. It is one moment of complete surrender. Stop striving in your own human strength. Stop trying to figure out every step. Simply receive what I am giving you today. I am the Lord who restores the wasted years. I am the God who turns dry deserts into springs of living water. What took years for the enemy to steal, I can restore in a single day of divine alignment. Every tear you shed in secret was recorded, and every cry of your heart was remembered. The harvest of your faithfulness is arriving, and no human hand can stop it. Look at how the enemy targeted your mind with relentless noise. He knew that if he could keep your brain trapped in anxiety, you would never operate at the frequency of my peace. He knew that a clear mind can receive divine ideas, divine solutions, and sudden breakthroughs. That is why he flooded your days with worry. But today, I am stripping him of his power over your thought life. Raise your eyes right now and look beyond the immediate storm. The enemy wants you looking down at the dirt, but I am telling you to lift your face to my glory. The atmosphere around you is shifting from mourning into dancing. The heavy garment of sadness is being replaced by a robe of praise. You are my beloved child, and my favor is resting upon you in this exact hour. The climax of your waiting season has arrived. Heaven itself has authorized your release from the prison of past regret. The enemy has been disarmed, and his lies have been exposed. You are walking out of the dark cave of isolation into the brilliant light of your destiny. Do not hesitate at the edge of your miracle. Take a bold step forward in absolute faith. I am changing the very foundation of your life, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you into an unshakable vessel. What you thought was a collapse was actually a holy clearing. What you thought was an ending was actually my invitation to step into a life of purpose. You do not have to carry the weight of the past into the room of your future. Let it all fall to the ground right now. You are ready to receive the full provision I have prepared for your hands. I have aligned the exact tool to clear the remaining static from your mind, so you can walk in this victory every single day. Stay with me for these final moments. Step forward with me into the holy restoration I have placed directly on your path right now. Before I reveal the full restoration prepared for your hands, I want to explain how this provision came to exist. I do not work only through sudden miracles in the night. I also work through the hands and minds of those I call into discovery. I gifted humanity the wisdom to unlock what I placed within sound and within the design of the human brain. For over 30 years, I quietly guided a servant of healing science named Dr. Robert Lake. I directed his research alongside wise institutions like Princeton and Columbia University. They confirmed the exact gamma frequency of divine receptivity that I built into you at creation. And I want to show you two of my children who received this before you arrived at this moment. Look at what I did for my daughter Rachel. She was an exhausted nurse who spent years seeking peace through prayer, faith, and every earthly method she could find. She felt as though a wall stood between her heart and my promises. 2 weeks after receiving this sound provision, something opened inside her spirit. Her marriage was completely transformed. Solutions arrived without striving, and her life felt enchanted like a peaceful sanctuary. And for others, I moved differently. Look at what I did for my son Michael. He came to this provision, carrying heavy financial stress and seeking clarity for his family. He felt trapped in a cycle of constant striving that produced no lasting breakthrough. Within 2 months, hard problems that used to steal his sleep solved themselves while he rested. His business expanded enough for him to leave his job, and his mind felt completely renewed. They call it the genius song. This is the exact frequency instrument I have guided into existence for your restoration. It is not a generic music track, and it is not a meditation app found on public platforms. It is a specialized sound provision designed to clear the noise of the enemy and reactivate the channel through which your prayers are answered. The design is simple, because I do not require complex effort from your tired body. 7 minutes a day with your headphones on and your eyes closed. You do not have to perform, and you do not have to strain your mind with heavy mental exercises. You simply surrender for 7 minutes and allow the frequency I placed in you from the beginning to return to your life. This provision is not meant for those who are merely curious about spiritual things. This is placed here specifically for you, my beloved child who has been sitting in exhaustion. You are the vessel filled with noise that I came to restore today. You have carried the weight of past losses for so long that your spirit desperately needs a clear channel to receive the greater blessing I am bringing. I know there is a quiet thought whispering inside you right now. You are thinking that you have already tried everything, and you feel embarrassed to hope one more time. But hear my truth today. What failed you before demanded your empty human willpower and constant discipline. This instrument requires none of your strength. It works because of my design inside your brain, not because of your human performance. Earthly experts charge hundreds of dollars for clinical sessions that attempt to reach this state of mental clarity. The clinical equipment that researchers use costs thousands of dollars to access in private settings, but I do not call my children to expensive clinics or human machines. I place this provision within your reach through a small earthly exchange, a mustard seed of investment for a massive harvest. Along with this primary provision, I have aligned 4 additional gift provisions for your journey. You will receive the Genius Child Track to restore focus and peace for your children. You will receive the original prosperity text, a guided visualization for your daily walk, and clear infographic guidance to sustain your restored signal every single day. Where I place truth, the adversary always attempts to manufacture fake imitations. There are false tracks circulating on music platforms under similar names, but they carry none of the sacred frequency I designed. Protect your spirit from these imitations. Access only the verified source that I have placed for you directly below this message in the pinned comment. Walk forward without fear today, because your step of faith requires no worldly risk. You are completely covered by a steadfast 60-day guarantee. If this provision does not clear the static and bring the restoration I described, the earthly exchange is returned to you in full. I do not lead my children into danger, and I hold your trust safely in my hands. Take this step of obedience right now. As an act of trust, embrace what I have set before you on your path. Find the official link I placed below in the pinned comment and in the description. Do not let this moment pass you by, my child. I guided you to this intersection, and I placed this provision here for your complete restoration. Now, my child, set aside the noise of decision for a moment. I have revealed the instrument I placed on your path. Whether you take that step right now, or in a moment, you remain my beloved child. Close your eyes right now. Breathe deeply. Let the lingering tension leave your body, and receive the final blessing I am speaking over your spirit today. You are a vessel fully restored to receive what I prepared before the foundation of the world. The channel between your heart and my throne is clean and clear. The static of the enemy no longer has authority over your thoughts, your home, or your future. You carry the pure signal of a child, operating in complete peace and divine receptivity. I speak a blessing over your home today. Where there was cold isolation, I command holy warmth to fill every room. Where there was constant financial pressure, I open the windows of heaven to release surprising provision. Where there was deep grief over what you lost, I plant a quiet joy that no earthly circumstance can ever take away from you. You will wake up tomorrow morning and notice that the heavy thrumming in your chest is gone. You will walk through your day with a light step, knowing that I am going ahead of you to smooth every rough path. You will look at the doors that closed in your past, and you will offer a prayer of deep gratitude for the protection I provided. If this message brought light to your weary heart, seal your agreement right now. Like this video, as an act of faith between your spirit and mine. Share this message with 3 souls who are secretly crying out for hope in the dark. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, so you do not miss my daily guidance for your journey. I walk with you through every valley, and I hold your future securely in my hands. Do not fear the unknown, for I am already standing in your tomorrow. You are loved beyond measure, you are protected without cease, and you are forever mine. Go in my absolute peace, my child.